Hello and welcome back to my Flosstube channel. For those that are new or returning from my last video, my name is Jess. I go by the name Little by Piku on both Instagram and on YouTube, and thank you so much for tuning in and watching this video. I posted my first video about 2 weeks ago and I was really unsure about whether to give it a go, and I thought what's the worst that can happen, and I was amazed and so happy and felt so loved by all of the subscribers that have come on board, and all the comments and you know, messaging with people on Instagram. It's been a real treat. So I was quite overwhelmed with the response that I received, and I'm glad that I can sort of maybe meet the market of those that are into sort of bright, colourful stitching, but sort of a range of projects, and sort of the showing a little bit different of what we do down south in New Zealand has been really cool, and to especially link in with other Australia, New Zealand cross stitches. But yeah, it's just been overwhelming. I've been really happy. So thank you so much. So thanks for coming in. So I thought, well, a lot of people commented saying they expect another video, and so here I am. So filming my second video. Hope I've got the lighting and things a little bit okay today. It's a beautiful sunny day in Auckland. So I was sort of playing around. This room has got windows on two sides, so just trying to get the lighting right. So hopefully you can see me and it seems okay. I can't complain. I feel really bad putting down the blind, but the sun coming in was insane. So I think it's 19 degrees here today, which I think is around about 65 degrees Fahrenheit for those in the Northern Hemisphere that use Fahrenheit rather than Celsius. But it's, we're heading into winter, but in Auckland where I live, winter doesn't really exist. It's very warm. I think this morning I woke up to go to the gym at 6 a.m. and it was 11 degrees, and I thought, oh, it's so cold, where's my puffer jacket, and put on some leggings, and I was like, this is crazy. I lived in London and would go out in -4 without a jacket or any concerns. So yeah, very grateful to be in this part of the world. And yeah, if this is our autumn months at 19 degrees sunny day, then I really can't complain. But that's enough. You didn't come on to watch me talk about the weather, I'm sure. Thought I'd get into today's video. So a few things I want to sort of cover today. There's a couple of shout outs I want to mention of those that mention me, but a few people I've also engaged with through Instagram as well, which has been really great. Go over a couple of finishes I have this over the last sort of fortnight. Sort of my works in process at the moment, and then I have also got a giveaway. So I didn't think I would be jumping on the giveaway sort of train so early on, but I was just overwhelmed with the number of subscribers and comments, and thought that this would be something that you guys would really like. So stay tuned towards the end of the video and I'll show that. But first of all, a couple of shout outs. I've got some notes below, so if I'm looking down, that's just why. Just don't want to make sure I don't want to miss those or get any names incorrect. First of all, came across a couple of other cross stitches in the Southern Hemisphere, which is really cool. One that reached out was Ella from Spectrum Stitcher. She's on YouTube and Instagram. I'll pop all the YouTube details below so you can check out their channels. She is super passionate about stitching. She does amazing hexagonal quilting at the moment, and she also discusses sort of her research on her PhD about climate change. She is just super engaging to watch and just has a real passion. And I find, super easy watch. I watch Flosstube in the morning. I actually normally watch it when I'm on my bike in the garage. So I sort of get an hour's cycle in while watching Flosstube, which is a weird, maybe motivational video to watch, and I could be listening to loud bass music, but just listening to someone and seeing someone's projects and how passionate they are just really motivates me in the morning, and it's a great way to start the day. So it's been great to connect with Ella as well on Instagram and sort of follow each other's progress on projects we're currently working on. Another Flosstuber that reached out was Lindsi from Blushing Pink Stitches. She's based in the UK, and she's another Satsuma Street fan, so I think maybe I influence her to join in on the current stitch along. But yeah, she's just works on Satsuma Street designs and a whole lot of other sort of modern cross stitches as well. So yeah, definitely worth checking out her channel. The next shout out is to Neat and Not by the Sea. So these are two women based in Port Chalmers in Dunedin, Victoria and Catherine. They have, I believe, been on Flosstube for quite a while. They have a range of different styles between the two of them, and I particularly like the way that that they kind of just free flow what they're discussing and what they're working on. Catherine seems like this really cool ability to do things a little bit off the normal sort of my sort of style of cross stitching, which is very much follow the pattern, follow the cord for threads, follow the fabric. She does amazing sort of hand dyed fabrics using New Zealand plants, as well as sort of, you know, stitching from her stash. So what she has is what she uses, and I find that's really cool and something I want to get more into as well. Super easy to watch. It's like listening to two friends having a chat, and hopefully one day it'd be great to maybe do some stitching with them as well. And then my last shout out is to Leigh from Creative Leigh. She's been on Flosstube. She's got over 100 videos. I haven't gone back to the very beginning, but I believe she may have started around lockdown, and she posts every week. She works on some really cool projects, has always a couple of WIPS on the go, and sort of Renee reached out about one of my finishes today about some help with threads and beads. She provided some really great advice via NZ cross stitching Facebook group, so really appreciative of that as well, and enjoy seeing her weekly updates. So yeah, there's plenty of other Flosstubers. I'm going to try and, I guess, connect with a few each video and give a shout out to those. But yeah, it's just been overwhelming, the amount of messages and comments, and connecting with those on Instagram as well has been really cool. But on to my finishes for this week. One of them I had to pre-film, so I'm filming this on Saturday the 7th of May. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, and this was a gift that I've given to my mother for Mother's Day. So Mum, if I am going to end up posting this video on Saturday, Mum, if you're watching now, you can just like switch off for a few minutes and come back, or you can open your present, your call. But I'll jump into that clip now. So the reason why I'm filming this back in time from when you're watching this at the moment and the rest of my video is because I just wanted to show a finish that I have made for my mum for Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is on the 8th of May in New Zealand. I believe it's the same in the US. For those in the UK, don't panic that you've missed it. Well, it was in March, so if you've missed it, you missed it, but there's never a bad time to show your mum or any family member some appreciation. But I have stitched up a project that I was working on in my last video. So it is the Autumn Posy by Homestitchness, which is this beautiful little love heart surrounded by sort of autumn decorations with the leaves and the flowers and the acorns, and this little, I believe this one here was a European goldfinch. It has an option of 2 different birds that you can stitch. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. Basically I finished it and thought, why not make it a little cushion and then put a little thread on it so that my mum can hang it wherever she so pleases. So I am now going to package this up on Monday and send that down to her. So she lives about 5 hours drive away, about an hour on a plane, but you know, New Zealand Post will probably take 5 days to get to her. So if I send this on Monday, it should reach her by the end of the week, hopefully, so she has it in time for Mother's Day. But yeah, basically just a very simple love heart. I will share some photos now of how I did this. I'm not really one for probably a whole lot of tutorials or anything like that, and there's plenty of a lot more skilled people than I am at finishing and sewing. But I thought I'd just share what I did, so maybe it's something that you might find interesting. So basically how I started, and I'll share some photos that should come up here, is that first of all I got just some light interfacing, and I ironed that on the finished cross stitch side and also on the fabric that I used as the backing. So once I had interfaced both sides, I then found it easier to then draw the love heart shape and cut it out. I just find using interfacing on the back of the cross stitch, or especially when stitching on linen, is that it avoids as much fraying happening, so it's a lot more simple to cut out into the shape I want. Drew the love heart, did the classic as you do as a child, draw one side of the shape and then fold it in half and cut it out and hope for the best. I think any time that you're cutting out a cross stitch piece that you've worked on is quite nerve-wracking, because it's the end of the day, if it's fabric, if it goes wrong, you can, you know, depending on what you're doing and how much fabric you have, you can cut out another piece and start over again. Whereas if you sort of cut incorrectly with a cross stitch pattern, it's a little bit more painful. So always very much of the mindset of measure 10 times, cut once type scenario. So once I cut it out, I then was then actually disrupted by my neighbour's cat. So I thought I'd share a picture of that. If you can spot the cat in the vegetable garden, they've recently got a new kitten, and just from upstairs in my sort of sewing craft room, I could just hear this constant meowing downstairs. So I went down and found the catch in our veggie garden. So we will be wearing gloves now when we're doing our gardening. Expect to maybe find some other treats in there. So hopefully it fertilises our plants, although we do need to sort of replant our veggie garden for winter. that's on the list of things to do. Then once I came back upstairs, I sewed the two pieces together to form the love heart shape, leaving a gap to stuff the cushion. I then decided once I cut it, I thought I'd run it in pinking shears. I guess when you're doing anything with a curved shape, the closer you can you want as less sort of fabric inside as possible. But I think this is probably where I went slightly wrong, where I cut with pinking shears along where the opening was, and I think I probably cut it a little bit too tight. So then when I folded it, pulled it in the right way and ironed it flat, I didn't have much of an allowance to do the final seam for the cushion itself. So once I had ironed it, I then stuffed it. For some reason, it's really hard to get polyester toy stuffing in New Zealand at the moment. So luckily I had an old cushion that I think I sewed up. I don't know, that cushion's probably like at least 10 or so years old. So that's just kind of been in the cupboard. So I've been using that slowly to fill up projects as I pull it apart. And then I sewed it together. So I have to say my sewing on the finishing line is probably not the neatest. I'm a bit of a WIPS stitcher to get it through, so it looks a little bit misshapen, but I'm sure Mum will love it anyhow. I then just sewed a thread on the top to hang it, and I'm sure she will enjoy it. I'll pop in some couple of finished pictures with the other finish that I did as well, but I'll jump back to the future time to show you that one. Great, we're back at the present time now. So another project that I completed over the last fortnight, well, I think I sort of managed to stitch this over 2 nights, was Winter Treasures by Homestitchness. So this one here, it's very cute. Really quick, sort of easy stitch, a few colours, but nice and simple to do. I kind of worked it colour by colour as I worked through it. I finished this one by wrapping washi tape that around the edges of the hoop. So a really easy finish. I then decided to be a little bit more fancy than I normally am and do a gathering stitch. So maybe I'll sew a piece of felt across the back, not quite sure yet. I bought a whole lot of this tape when I was in Tokyo a couple of years ago. So the one that I used for this project was this one here. So super easy way to finish a hoop. I actually have I've got a wee bag of them here that I haven't really used for a lot of things. A few that are quite cool that I thought to show as a measuring tape. So I thought that would look quite cool wrapped around a hoop. I've got another little one that's quite cute with people of the world, so that could also be quite fun. Along with, there's one I've got here that I haven't even opened. It's sort of got sushi and sort of pictures on it. So I thought I'll need to find some sort of sushi themed cross stitch maybe to get that one on a hoop. But I thought that's a nice easy way to do something a little bit different. I thought about whether to just tape up all these ones, but the thought of trying to pull them out of their hoops and put them back in is too much. So happy with that little project there. Another finish that I did this week, which I have shared on my Instagram, so you may have already seen it already, was my whale, which I have now misplaced. Sorry, back again. So this one here, I showed it as a project I was going to work on in my last video. The pattern I bought from Etsy, so the pattern's from, it's a Ukrainian designer, I believe, called Katarina Mike. So it's called Whale from a Fairy Tale. And here is my finished project, and I'm so happy with it. I stitch it, it's perma linen, I believe, off the top of my head, it's Sea Lily and 32 count. So a few changes I did make to the cord for DMC. When I purchased it, I found that the original picture that was on the front of the PDF that the designer had done was all in variegated thread. When I purchased the pattern, it was all in DMC thread. So I messaged the Etsy seller, and because it sold through another, I'll put the links below, but it sold through another Etsy shop that stocks a whole range of designers. She said she got in touch with the designer, and the designer actually hand dyed the thread, so there was no sort of call for variegated thread. So that's where I then jumped on Facebook and said, what do I do? How do I sort of approach variegated threads and what to buy? And Leigh from Creative Leigh sort of said, just go with what you want to do. There's no right or wrong way to stitch, whether you stitch doing each cross at a time or across the line. So it's just play around and have a go with the effect. And I thought, you know what? I'm a little bit creative. I can do that. I trust my intuition with stitching. So really happy with how that turned out. I used a couple of variegated threads just for the whale's body, which I used the Week Dye Works thread. I used Sky for the whale's body, so just along this part along here, and then on the pink bit under its mouth, I used Week's Dye Works Rose Quartz. I sort of just took I did all the rest of the stitching, took the the project to the local needle shop and had a sort of play around with a few different colours to see what sort of would have tied in with the cord 4 Dempsey and the pink, and went from there. I then decided to give beading a go, which is something I've never done. So here's my little attempt at the bottom of what direction to do the beads in. Sort of made sense to sort of bead them on an angle kind of going upwards. So I used some Mill Hill beads. I'll put the colour in the description below, I'm not quite sure of it off the top of my head. But yeah, when I was doing it, I was a bit like, oh, that's a bit much, but I really enjoy it now. So I think it looks really cool with the beads. Kind of hard to photograph, but it gives it a bit of a glisten, if you can see perhaps. But I'm not quite sure what to do with this yet. So whether I might just pop it in a frame or, yeah, I don't know. I think it'll probably go on the pile of things to be finished. But for now, I've sort of just popped it up in my office study craft room space to admire the whale. So very happy with that. So those are my sort of 3 finishes over the last fortnight, and then on to my WIPS that I'm working on at the moment. So the first is, so Satsuma Street released the first part of the Animal House stitch along, which I mentioned in my last video as well. The next part is released, I believe it's the 13th, which is next Friday, and then the 27th of May, the 10th of June, 24th of June and 8th of July. So there's plenty of time if you're looking to join in with others stitching. There's a Facebook Satsuma Street stitch along group, as well as the hashtags on Instagram. It's quite cool to see what other people are doing. There's one person that's stitching on like a purple hand-dyed fabric, which looks really cool. And another that posted that stitching hers on a dark, I think it's linen, which again, you know, she's going to play with some of the colours so that they don't get too lost in the dark fabric, but it'll be really, you know, really effective to see how hers turned out. I went sort of full on over the last weekend and stitched this out. So this is part 1 of the stitch along. I'll put a picture of the sort of clue here of what the design was going to look like. The first part is not quite, I guess it's a cool stitch because it's not exactly what the original sort of picture represents. But this is a lovely peacock in a house. So nice, fun, easy stitch, doing mine on linen. What just amazed me was the amount of fabric that this called for. So the fabric it called for was 28 count or 14 count Aida, 18 inches by 24 inches, which is 46 centimeters by 61 centimeters. And it's huge. So I've never stitched a design on such a big piece of fabric before. I think the actual finished size is going to be like 7.5 inches by 14 inches. So it's going to have plenty of fabric left for finishing, I hope, as long as I have started it. They gave a kind of guide of where to start it. So let's hope I'm not going to run out on either side. But yeah, I guess towards the end, who knows, maybe it will be a wall hanging or a cushion, or see what happens. So looking forward to the next part coming out next Friday. I'm going to try and keep up with them as much as I can, especially during the next couple of weeks, and then sort of see how I progress from there. But yeah, really enjoying my first stitch along and the sort of surprise of not knowing what will come next Friday. And then my next stitch along was a design I mentioned in my last video as well, which is this one here. So it's Enchanted Forest by Una Buena Pieza. Hopefully I've said that correctly again. Lovely designer, sort of connected on Instagram as well, and it'd been great to have a chat with her. This is my first sort of, I guess you'd call it ghost Halloween type design. So this is my progress to date. So this one here is, yeah, Enchanted Forest by, and it's on a black Aida linen. I'll pop that behind, it's a bit easier to see. So really cute, sweet ghost. So we're working on the roses and the leaf design as well. This particular ghost here was a bit of a nightmare. I don't know if it's because it's a ghost. I stitched it, the first time I stitched it and realized I was one row too short, and then I fixed it up, continued on with the leaf, went back to do the roses, and realized that my ghost had a row of vertical stitches missing between its eyes. So sometimes, you know, we all make errors and it makes things unique, but it just, for me, creates then a headache of counting around it. So I ended up frogging that ghost twice, but now it's correct. I think I learned from that not to stitch on black Aida at nighttime when I'm a bit tired. So that's my sort of lesson from that design and working on black Aida at nighttime, is that my eyes get sore and whether I'm just needing to go to bed and get some rest rather than trying to attempt something. So that's my sort of second WIP at the moment. And then my third WIP like I'm not doing stitch mania or anything like that. For me, I've always been, as I've said before, a one WIP at a time. So the fact that I've got 3 on the go is enough for me at this stage. Probably, I don't know, maybe screen grab that and tell me in 6 months time, being like, you said 3 was enough, and I've got like 30 on the go. But yeah, sort of 3 is sort of where I'm at the moment. I am working on another Satsuma Street design, of course. This one here is called Pretty Little Baby. So it's a city type design as well. And I'm doing mine on this beautiful sparkly silver Ada. So it's got a really silver thread running through it, so you get the sparkle through it itself. This is going to be a gift for a friend that's having a baby, so ideally want to keep this finished mid-June. It's going to be the end of the city with the name down the bottom as well. I started this yesterday at about 4 o'clock and probably stitched for about 5 hours yesterday evening while watching TV, and I've already got a really good portion of it done, so probably have it finished, I don't know, in the next few weeks, wait and see. But yeah, I really find that going from stitching on black to stitching on a white sparkly Ada, this is a good nighttime stitch. This is one that I can see, reflects the light, easy to stitch on. This design does have metallic threads, which I haven't used since doing a Satsuma Street design years ago. So I've got those still in my stash somewhere. So I've decided to save all the metallic for the very end, and really regret that at the time because it's not the easiest to stitch with. So any clues about stitching with metallic threads, would love to know. So those are my current WIPs that I'm working on at this stage. Then I made a couple of new pattern purchases. As you can see by my pictures, I purchase mainly my designs in a PDF form from Etsy or from Creative Poppy or other online websites. I just have always stitched with my pattern on my phone as a PDF and use a sort of an app on my phone to mark off the stitches as I go. I'm not really a paper person. I just find that's an easier method, and then I've always got the design on hand. I can enlarge it and sort of look at everything and move around quite quickly. Plus then it involves not having to have too much stuff around me while I'm on the couch. But I have done my first, I don't even remember last bought a paper style pattern. So these are my current purchases. Oh, reach over there. I purchased these from a shop in Christchurch called Art and Frame. They are my first Blackbird designs, so I'm excited to give these a go. I saw this on probably Instagram. I'm very easily influenced by others, I've learnt. So this is Yellow Submarine. I think these came out a couple of years ago, but this is from their collection of the Mystery Tour series with the Beatles, and oh, I just love it. I do love the Beatles. Get nostalgia of listening to albums or tapes or cassettes in the car with my parents as we're going on our road trips around the country. So I've got the Yellow Submarine to work on. The other one that caught my eye was Eleanor Rigby, and just because every time I even say Eleanor Rigby, I want to break out in song, but yeah, that's not going to happen on YouTube anytime soon. So love this one as well. This one does come with sort of 2 different options in terms of colorway, and I've seen on the Blackbird Facebook page is that there's a few other alternatives of what people have stitched it in. So I'm thinking of doing the traditional dark colorway itself. I mean, to be honest, this might be a gift for my dad. So Dad, if you're watching this video, you might see this as in one of your birthday presents later this year. But he's a Beatles fan as well. And then whether to stitch another one in sort of bright colors and do something quite contrast to the first. So yeah, excited to stitch those. They both use a combination of Gentle Art sampler threads. And so I did, had actually my birthday early this week, and my parents gifted me a voucher for one of our local needlework stores. So that will probably be going towards threads for these projects. So that's sort of what I've worked on, what I finished this last fortnight, and what I'm planning sort of coming up in the coming weeks, months, whenever I get around to those as well. So next, as a huge thank you for all the subscribers and likes and comments and messages and support on my first video. I was thinking, it'd be great to do a giveaway. I do live down in New Zealand, so shipping anywhere in the world, even shipping within New Zealand, is not cheap. We went to send a calendar to a family in the UK at Christmas, and found that if we included the Christmas card in with the calendar, it took it over a weight limit, which then suddenly made the price, I don't know, like $16 or something crazy to ship to to the UK, as opposed to without the gift card, the Christmas card, it brought down the pricing down to like $8. It was just like, so yeah, they received a calendar without a Christmas card, and we took a photo and sent the Christmas card picture to them instead. It's just crazy. So I was thinking, what could I do to show my support in a PDF pattern version? So I reached out to Satsuma Street to Jodie and sort of asked about whether or not I can get a gift card for her store, and she was so kind to donate a PDF pattern from her Pretty Little Cities collection. So I've, of course, have stitched just a couple of them, just a couple or a few. I think I'm missing one store at the moment, Seattle, which is on my list of things to do. I would love to give away one of those patterns in particular. They've been how I got into cross stitching at a young age, and it's sort of, I don't know when I did my last one, but I've done them every couple of years, so it sort of just incorporates everything about cross stitch to me is stitching each of the cities, and some fortunately I look back and think, when did I stitch that one? And I really do wish I wrote dates inside them, but there's a few that I kind of remember stitching at key moments of my life, or working on while I was on a holiday, or going through other things at the time. So they're really, a lot of stitches and a lot of meaning behind them all. So to enter in this giveaway, what I would like you to do is to have a look at her store. She has always sold on Etsy, but she now has her own direct website that you can buy from, which is fantastic. So I'll pop a link to that below. To enter basically the winner, I'll leave a comment on your post, and if you can then drop me an email, I will then need to pass on your details and have your permission to pass on your email and name and details to Jodie, so she can email you the PDF pattern directly herself. So if you can, hopefully if you're not a subscriber, really would appreciate if you could subscribe, like this video, and comment below. Please avoid the word giveaway or promotion or anything like that in the comments. I really want this to go to a genuine subscriber and a genuine stitcher that will, at some stage stitch up the city pattern. If you can incorporate the word city into your comments, so that's the word city. If you can, have a look and let me know which city you would like to stitch, or which city you're from, or anything like that. I'm sure you can be creative with your comments, but just include the word city. I will then draw a winner on Sunday, the 22nd of May at 9 a.m. and we'll comment on your post, and then I'm planning on filming a video that day as well. So that's in a fortnight's time, so 2 weeks away, with the winner of the pattern. So yeah, keen to see what you can do. I know some people asked if I could do a sort of close-up of some of my cities, so without doing a close-up of my face. There's a number to choose from. I don't think, I can't remember if I picked a favourite last week. I think today I'm kind of feeling the New York one. I quite like the colours and the vibe that's giving off, but also Hawaii, because it feels very summery today here. But would love to see what you do. So that is probably it from me today. Again, thank you so much for your support. I've said that like 10 times, but I truly do mean it. I'll leave a link down below to all the projects I'm working on, the Flosstubers that I mentioned, and the details for the giveaway. But otherwise, any queries, anything in particular you'd like me to show or discuss next fortnight. I'm trying to work out how often I'm going to film these videos. I've got, I was planning on filming next weekend, but I realized I have a work party, and I think that Saturday is quite a busy day. I'm actually meeting up with a few other stitchers in Auckland. So if you are in Auckland, you feel free to reach out. There's a few stitching groups that meet across the city, but we're meeting up next Saturday for that. And then work sort of mid-year party on Saturday night. So I think Sunday I'll be a little bit tired. So then I'll film following weekend, and then I will plan on probably filming every 2 to 3 weeks. But I post more regular updates on Instagram, and we'll give details of when another video will go up. But thank you so much for tuning in today. Take care, enjoy the sunshine if the sun is shining. If it's not, it'll be just around the corner wherever you are, and a lot of people are going into spring. So enjoy the weekend and the weeks ahead.